You were talking about being nice to
Yeah,
white labelers.
yeah, you gotta be nice to everybody. Like, right now you become partners with them. There are some people that I would never probably white label for. I mean, I've encountered that. Or I just jack up the price so high that they would not want to hire me. And if they do want to hire me, then so be it. Then you have to suck it up. If they
Yeah.
want to be assholes to you, then you charge them the asshole fee and they're willing to pay it. And okay, let's take it. That's it.
I call it the pain in my ass
Yeah,
tax.
the axe tax. Yeah, there you go.
I
So
mean, this is a $400 mic that I have.
yeah, I know, it's so dope.
It's pretty dope.
I saw you put one up for sale, and I was like, wow,
I
okay,
do. I have two. I have this other one. So I'm like, I don't
yeah,
really need the second one. I mean, if I was to go to like PBX and interview people, but I don't think that like I tried to bring my equipment last time and there's just too much going on. Like
yeah.
you
I
can't
can
sit
imagine.
down and talk to people.
Yeah, people rather get drunk, right? So no, I mean, we did one with like some short ones, like you could do it. Ismail, right?
I don't.
Ismail, he's the one who ran both masterminds actually with
Oh,
Ursula and Sammy. The first year, the year before the PBX, before PBX 2020, and there was a mastermind thing that was going on. I'm sorry, 2020, and it was
yeah.
before PBX, and that's when we went. Me, Lap, Zach, and Shelly went on a panel for white labeling. We talked about white labeling, and it was a great turnout. Actually, a lot of people gave some great feedback, saying that it was one of the good sessions that they sat through.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it is beneficial. I mean, I got on another podcast with Shay before from Pick, but haven't heard from him in a long, long time. I don't know what's going on with him. Um, and I only know a few people that still use Pick, so it's kind of like I
Pick
don't know
pick?
what's going on there. Pick
Is
Social.
that what you said?
Yeah,
Pick
yeah, that
social.
was
I don't.
actually it was one of the first iPad sharing software. It's legacy, so we're talking about like when people took photos back then. You installed it up. We're talking about maybe 2015, right?
Yeah.
So this was when you saw that using iPad sharing stations, and PickPick was one of the first ones that enabled you to download a server onto your computer, and then fully brand the screen and everything like that, and then just
Hmm.
share through there. So it's grabbing photos of it's grabbing videos and photos. So it was one of the
Oh
first
wow.
ones. Like yeah, before all this, before LAPP, before anything was out, it was
Really?
PickPick. Was yeah, they were dominant. The sharing, everybody was using it. There was
I mean,
yeah, it's
I've heard the name, but
mhm.
I didn't realize that they were even older than LA Photo Party Upload,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
So
that's the
LA
one
Photo,
that's what I used.
yeah, LA Photo Party was probably secondary for me. It was actually easier to program LA Photo Party on
Oh,
the back
okay.
end. Yeah, for the HTML emails and the microsites and things like that. So PicPic didn't have that type of offering just yet during that time.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I mean, jumping into it, like that's when I started
Yeah.
white labeling too. So
Oh, really?
yeah, exactly.
Was 20?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
2014, heading into 2015. It was like the
Did
ending of 2014 was my first white label gig that I ever did.
Did
It was
you start off like owning your own photo booth and marketing that way, and
yes.
then you just
Mhm.
decided that was not going to work for you, or?
Yeah, so well, it didn't happen that way. What happened was back in the day, first off, I'm a DJ
Wait,
by trade, right?
2014 is not back in the
Yeah,
day.
well, back in the days, like, we're talking like 1998, right?
Oh, okay.
I was a DJ by trade.
Oh, gotcha.
Me and my brother opened a DJ company, and we basically we had residencies and things like that, and we were doing a lot of weddings, like nonstop weddings. We're still actually the company's still alive. I just don't deal with it right now. My brother has taken full control. I
Oh,
just sit,
yeah.
I just sit back and just wait for a return.
Dope.
As far as that happens though, they're still pushing my photo booths out. Like obviously, you book in a full package. There's still legacy packages where I give them a certain benefit when they book the whole DJ package with the photo booth still.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that because I don't have to do that anymore, but I gotta keep the tradition, stay where I started from. So as far as that goes, like in 1998 we DJ clubs and stuff like that. And then back like we started an LLC company that did weddings and events, right?
Hmm.
And then I got married in 2011, where people were like, "Hey, that's when the photo booths were like kicking in, like those open airs and easy transport stuff, right?" So
Yeah.
my wife was like, "Oh, can we get a photo booth?" And the only person I knew had a photo booth. It was digital, so there's no prints. It was like basically you push the button. It says, I don't think there was even on a screen. It was like a blinker that once it starts blinking real fast, bam, you take it. You don't even know how the pictures turn out, but you get a gallery at the end. That's how the initial first photo booths. Hey, my cousin was the first one. Hey, do you have a photo booth? Like, because it was getting like the 2x6 prints were getting hot. Everybody's getting put it on refrigerators or whatever. So I was like, hey, it might be something good to get into. And then I was like, okay, let me buy a photo booth. And my other friend also wanted it. So, basically, it's all by friend. It was like pennies like that. I charged them. It was experimental, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then it just literally just took off by itself. And by this was 2013, yeah, beginning of 2013. And then by 2014, it was just like bam, like every wedding had to have it, so
Yeah.
DJ company and wedding had to have it. And then end of
And remind
24.
me, you're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. Yeah, I'm in
New York
Brooklyn.
City.
Yeah, New York City, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Well, I moved to Staten
Because
Island now.
you made it sound like
Yeah,
it took off, but I had to put that in there because
yeah.
you know New York City has money.
Yeah, they have money. Yeah, they have money. Yeah. So the thing is, like, brides and grooms, right? Like, there is like a certain type of bride and groom also as well. Especially, brides. They make all the decisions at the end of the day, right?
Right.
But the groom just when I was a groom, right, I forked out the money. Here's a credit card. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Don't tell me anything. I just see the bill. So,
Lucky,
um,
lucky lady.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's still like that today, right?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
So, you had to convince them that they needed a photo booth. Like it was a little
Yes.
difficult. Yeah. So, show them samples. Sit them down. The best way back then was face-to-face meetings, obviously with the DJ and with the photo booth itself. Um,
Yeah.
now there isn't any meetings with photo booths at all. Don't care. Book. Here's samples. This is what we do. We've been in business all this time. Book. So what happened? My first white labeling was actually yeah, it was for Shelly. So what happened was she had the same photo booth that we had, which is a what do they call it? Capture pod? I forgot. Thing that goes up and down. I don't know. It's not capture pod. I don't remember what it was called. Capture pod is a company out there. Sorry. No offense to them, but um it's from Tu Lee. He wasn't at PBX this year. He was there every year before that. So he had a photo booth that goes up and down, up and down, and looks like a big iPad that goes up and down, like electric. We're talking about hydraulics. You push a button because
Oh.
they were my flagships. I have like 3 or 4 units before that, right? So we bought
Mhm.
this really cool booth, and like it goes up and down. And then one day I heard that two gave me a call. It's like, oh, somebody's in New York. It's kind of not working right now. It's malfunction, and they needed it for an event, right? So
Right.
then that led me to a connection to Shelly, and then she was like, yeah, I need it. We need this to happen. Still charging pennies to a dollar. Obviously we're still putting it together with the DJ company and like together kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So it's actually for the Daily Show. It was for Trevor Noah. So he
Oh,
was the
so
Daily Show back
cool.
then. Yeah, Trevor Noah.
I love
And then
him.
I was like surprised. I didn't know. I got there. Okay, this is Trevor Noah. He was there. So it was amazing. Like, I was like, wow, like what am I doing wrong? I'm doing just weddings, and these are big corporate
Right.
ones, but it's not for me. It's not my directly for me. But then the funny part was I didn't even use that same photo booth that she had broken. Like, like we was mimic what she had, what she sold to the public client. I don't know now, but it was years ago, right? It's almost 10
Yeah.
years ago. So, like what she sold to the client, I don't know. But same time, we didn't use that photo booth. We used
Huh.
we used a Stephen Lynch. We used a party box, and basically it did the job because I was able to load it. I stayed up to because I was so nervous because it was a little different. Hers was a little more challenging. It was GIF sharing, HTML, things like that. It was like back in 2014, it was challenging. Now it's like it's a standard, right? So I had to take a desktop and throw it in there right on top of the printer. And it was all inside a box. It was funny. And she was like, "That's an ugly boob." She was mad. And I was like, You want me to do the job or no? So we did the job. It was fine. Output was great. Like for that time, like my lighting is always good. You always use external flash. So like back in 2014, there was people were using the stuff that was inside or the on camera flash or whatever it is. But I always use the external flash and umbrella and stuff like that. It made it so
Right.
much, yeah, it made it so much better. I do not have a photography background, but just by friends that are photographers, they let me know that oh, if you throw a flash, external flash on it with an umbrella, definitely looks really really good. So then after that, output was awesome. Me and Shelly's relationship just took off there, and now me and her like brothers and sisters. I
That's
actually have an
awesome.
event for her after this call. I have to get ready for an event for her. So
Are you doing one today?
yeah, with her, I'm actually gonna meet up. She's actually in town. She's actually in New York, so
Oh,
we're probably
nice.
just gonna go hang out. But obviously, I have a team here. That jumping into it, like as white labelers, you have to have a great team.
Yeah.
And the people, your clients are the company's white labelers who white label you. They should know your staff too, as well, and
Yeah.
they know your
Well,
staff. Yeah,
let's just stop
yeah,
for a second because not stop, but let's talk about what white labeling
yeah,
actually is. Because the way that I'm structuring this podcast is
yeah,
hopefully from episode to 1 to 2 to 3, it's like they're learning. People are, because my target audience is like somebody who's just coming into
yeah.
photo booth industry. So,
Mhm.
what is a white label?
What is a white label? So white label is basically, let's say you're a photo booth company and you take on a job that you may or may not want to do yourself. So it doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to do yourself. So let's say you pick up a job for $2,000, which is a regular print booth for $2. And there's a company that's out there that can do it for, let's say, in a jam where you can't do it. You'll just make sure that they're reputable and they're, how to say it, they'll represent your brand fully, where you don't have to worry about like, oh, them showing their logos or posting your clients, things
Right.
like that. Yeah, that's basically the most important part about this, where you're representing their brand to the fullest,
Yeah.
and you're doing it for, yes, everybody has to make money one way or another. Okay, so let's say a company charges $9,000 for an event. I don't care. I let them know what I want for the event itself, and then they say yes or no. It's not, no hard feelings. This is
Yeah.
what you want for the event. um by For me, as representing, as like, I've been doing white label for a long time, so for me to be able to consistently white label for all these different companies that call upon me, is because you have to gain a certain amount of trust. So through the years, I have, obviously, what they say, you got to prove it. You got to prove yourself. You got to
Yeah.
prove your worth. As far as white labeling, it doesn't mean that the company can't handle it. They might just not want to do it. Like, hey, I'm gonna sit at home. I'm gonna program this thing. We'll let Billy do it. We'll give him $1,200 to go do the job, and we'll sit home and make eight. Sometimes that doesn't make sense, or frees up their day to pick up a bigger event and still make money off of this event. But also, now it's the downfall of it. I'm kind of jumping the gun. So
No, it's
yeah, I'm
fine.
trying to
I
jump
love
the
it.
gun. So downfall of it, as a white labeler, as me, right, I have a big team, which is good. The pros is, everybody on my team has been with me from at least, like, the shortest 4 years, the longest 8 years, right? So this team has been with me for, like, thick and thin, shit and skin, right? So um, it's been, yeah, it's been a crazy ride during pandemic, but I mean, it was, they're still around, so, which is great, and they know what they're doing. Some of them, you do have to kick in the butt, like employees wise, you do have to kick in the butt, where saying, hey, you got to do this like this way now. Like, it's different. Things go on, things change. Quality, you need that. You need to be enthusiastic as a BA. My BA team has to be, hey, you got to get ready. 3, 2, 1. 360 action. Tell them, jump around, move around. You have to sometimes dance with them. So that's basically what it is.
No, for
Yeah,
real.
yeah. You have,
And
yeah,
you mean brand ambassador, right?
yeah. Brand
BA?
ambassador. Yeah, MBA.
Okay,
Yeah,
just wanted to
yeah, yeah. No,
clarify.
brand ambassador. Yeah,
I
I mean,
didn't even know what a brand ambassador was,
yeah,
but it's basically a photo booth attendant
yes. And
who's working the event.
I would suggest that, because you know what you're good at, as an owner, right? So for me, I'm very friendly. I'm very good BA. I start conversation. Everything. However, after doing it all these years, you realize, there's a point where you might just want to, like, hire a professional person that does this all the
Yeah.
time. Like, like I have my BAs, they work for, they're all freelance. So they work for Pepsi, Monster, Red Bull, stuff like that. They coming off of from these things represent giving out like samples and stuff like that. So, that's part of white labeling too. And
Yeah.
yeah, and when you white label also, for me to take on an event, I could take on an event where, okay, if it's just like a normal iPad event, I can just take the iPad, I'll go set it up, hire my BA to go work it. For me, I could be working in a car, sitting at a bar, doing work, like doing scheduling, doing templates, stuff like that, like back end stuff. I know like some people are saying like, oh, you need somebody to hire somebody to do your back end, answer your emails and stuff like that. I'm more of a hands-on just because my majority right now, my business is white labeling. So it's easier for me. I don't have to deal with much client interaction, right? But I
Right.
mean, my own picking up my own clients, it's picking up now. Like my direct clients, it's actually
Mhm.
I'm very surprised this year. Like I'm gearing myself to have my own, like, so basically how it was when I first after pandemic, right? 2022, I was 95% white label. Like my majority of my business was like entirely based on white labeling.
Yeah.
Um as far as 2023 came along, I took it down to like about 70%. So I was getting 30% organics, right? So this year, right now, I'm still around at like a 35 organic and like, 65% white label. And
Wow.
it's still great. I mean, at the same time, it keeps me busy. Also, there's challenging. A lot of these events are challenging. It's not as simple as photo booth white
No, I
labeling
know.
anymore.
No,
Yeah,
the events I've seen you do are,
yeah.
yeah,
It's no
they're
longer, yeah,
intense. And it's
yeah.
funny
It's no
because
longer a photo. Set up a photo booth and let it print. No, it's not like that no more.
I was
It's
having a conversation with
yeah.
Nick
Uh-huh.
Bernardo,
Yep.
uh, Box of Cheese, and he
Yep.
was up in Oakland, and I met up with him. He was doing a headshots for
Uh-huh.
My High, and
Yep.
I was telling him that I wanted to learn how to do the baseball cards, and he says that it's an industry secret. And I
Yeah.
said, there's not an event out there that
Uh-huh.
would want that I would want to work
It's
because those
yeah.
types of events where Boeing and
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
those
Lap is
those
crazy. Lap, but
lap
is out there.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Lap
like,
and min.
I'm not even interested in doing those events. I have been doing this a long time too,
Yeah.
12 years. And it's like, I did a 4-hour event with Megan Rapinoe, and,
Mhm.
I've done stuff on the Google campus with Google and YouTube, and, you know, that's fun.
Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to these, high corporate events, you're not just setting up a photo booth and,
No, it's not.
it's so different.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, nowadays, like, it's more on. I feel like my white label has been coming more to the production end now, like
Mm,
where we're doing production. So there was like some white labels where I don't bring a photo booth out at all. Like it's all lighting, it's all camera equipment, it's all like tracks and stuff like that. So you have to
yeah,
build sets and things like that. So it's more of a to a point where, oh crap, what do they have built out there? Or what lights do I need to bring? And how to capture this stuff, We're supporting the photographer, we're supporting the videographer, So it comes to a point where it's more challenging, but I'm also learning at the same time, hey, we can absorb all this stuff and do it ourselves, right? But at the same time,
mhm,
like we're the people I work for, the white label companies, they're more, hey, we're gonna hire somebody who has a nice Instagram portfolio, like especially for
yeah.
shooting photography wise. And if you're a photographer, yes, I feel like I'm not gonna say anybody can point and shoot, right? But I'm saying that photography can be learned if you spend your time on it.
Right.
And like for me to be able to spend my time on it, obviously I gotta just stay home and spend my time on it.
Yeah.
um yeah, it like hopefully, like we do have photographers on our team, but they don't have much of a bigger portfolio. So obviously these other companies are not going to be like, hey, get your photographer on board and do this, right? There was one time I had to go shoot, Shelly, she flew me out to San Fran to shoot a Gap event, like
Oh, dope.
shoot a Gap event, right? So
Yeah.
like this was actually 2015, 2016, I think, right? And then it was crazy, like it was hectic. It was the first time I ever traveled for a white label, so or travel for a photo booth, period itself. And it wasn't even a photo booth. So I rented gear from a local over there for the iPad stands and stuff like that for sharing.
Mm,
So that was very interesting. So I mean, I shot before an event. Obviously, I wasn't that type of photographer where now photographers have to be like really animated, like they have to be into it. Like, hey guys, just do this, pose like this, just go like this for a second. So I'm not like that. I'm like, hey guys, 3, 2, 1. Like, when it comes to shooting, but that stuff, obviously has to be practiced and learned, and it's probably not something that I'll probably get into anytime soon. Yeah, but
photography, like that type of photography, you mean?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's never been my thing either, and it's funny because I think I was same conversation with Nick, and I was saying, when I did my photo booth, because I didn't get connected until Booth Mastermind of 2023. That's the only time I've ever went to PBX in the whole time that I've owned my business.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I went this year too, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
yeah, I wasn't connected. I wasn't part of any of the Facebook groups, like nothing, and I don't know. Anyway,
You got pretty far from it.
I know I felt very disconnected. Now that I'm connected, I'm like, whoa, I could have been much bigger a lot sooner. But
Yeah, definitely.
what was I saying? The conversation that I had with him, I forgot. It lost
Mhm.
my brain lost it.
It's all right. It's okay. No
It's
big deal.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I talked to Nick a few times too on chat, and obviously went on a cruise, so it was like
Well,
a lot
yeah.
of bonding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met him, and it was cool when we were on that cruise. He sat next to me,
Yep.
and then we ended up sitting in the round table, but we still sat next to each other, and he asked each other where we're from, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told him I was from Napa, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a event there in 2 months, I think it was. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in March." And I helped him with that.
Yeah,
So, it
awesome.
was really cool.
That's how it is. I mean, I guess. See, the thing is, like, when you come from these things, right? You have to network, and how I used to feel, right, about white labeling, like, because I'm a like, how I felt was this is my industry. I'm going to PBX to meet my clients. This is people that
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
to do work for, right? So, basically go hang out, talk to each other, and to me, like every time I go to PBX, I'm able to come home and score like 4 or 5 events, like already picked up just from there. Billy, I need you in New York, blah blah blah. Billy, I need you in New
Yeah.
York. Like, so I'm like, hey, this to me, I don't know about this year paying off because I brought the family, right? So, but normally it pays off, just to go to PBX, like, just for me, like like the money's there, go back,
Yeah.
drink all you want, eat all you want, whatever you want. But, at the end of the day, you're picking up all this business and building a relationship with, hopefully some new white label clients.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I did that too. I got a white label from PBX. I was trying to think. Layla Queen.
Layla. Yeah, I know Layla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she white labeled me
Yeah, she's
from there. But yeah, so white labeling. So the reason I actually asked you to come on this podcast
Yep.
was because of Min's post
Mhm.
where he said you have to charge, if you're going to white label, you have to charge enough to pay your white label business person.
Exactly. Yep.
So I wanted, and I kind of was like, there's no real set standard
Mhm.
of like, this is what needs to be charged or, just any standard at all.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to talk about that. I know I didn't send you that in the questions,
Okay, let's
but
do
I
it.
mean, like, let's talk about it because I was asked to do a white label and then they were like, we're going to pay you $600. And it was for like 7 hours of work. And I was like, no. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yep. No, so yeah, I know this was the big question, like how people should charge for white labeling, or a white labeler should charge to be to do the job, as well as how much you should take to. So basically what happens is, I feel like if you don't charge enough to white label, then you shouldn't be white labeling it. So, and also as a white labeler, if they don't pay you enough, you shouldn't do the job, right? So
Right.
as far as you make your own, you name your own price. So how it works for me is basically they'll tell me, like, all my clients, right? Because I do this, like we're talking about daily. It's called process of negotiation too, right? um
Right.
some people can't pay your rates, some people can pay your rates, right? So as far as that goes, right, so let's say, as I was saying in the beginning, somebody's paying $2,000, getting paid $2,000 for a regular print booth, right? And they throw you a job. Oh, I'm looking for somebody for $600. There might be people that do it. Like if they go out and they
Oh,
put it
for
out there on
sure.
Facebook, yeah, they'll be like, hey, we'll do it, but is the person reputable? Is the person How long has the person been in business? How's their output? Is it them that's going to go? Is it their staff that's going to go? Is their staff good? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of factors about it. It's how does their photo booth look? Like for me, I have a min booth. Obviously, like a lot of people are using min booths now. So we have Mobi auras and stuff like that. These are like more like geared to industry standard, right? So can this guy produce what we need to produce? And at $600, is he willing to do the job? Like somebody comes to me asking me for $600 to do a print booth. Hell no, I'm sorry. That's not
Yeah.
happening. That's not happening. So in a process of where, okay, I'm gonna give you a 3-hour print booth for, if the person is gonna charge like $2,000 for a print booth. We don't know that. Like I said, we don't care how much you're getting. I don't care if you charge somebody $800, but if I'm gonna tell you I want $1,200 for it, that's what it's gonna cost you to have me white label, represent your company to the fullest, and do the job
With your experience, with
exactly.
your yeah.
Yeah, you're getting the whole experience where with my company, like there's track record. Obviously,
Yeah,
if I wasn't good, I wouldn't be able to get where I am, right? So
exactly.
I'm trying to stay humble at the same time, right? But it's basically you have to build a trust between everybody.
Yeah,
So
it's okay to be confident.
yeah, I'm pretty like it's for me is everyday thing because that's my business base right now. Like other
Mhm.
boothers are my clients, right?
Yeah,
So as far as pricing wise, I have been approached. Like let's say, and I have done things for lower than the rate that I would normally do, but they're guaranteeing me 3 of them, that kind of thing. So let's say, hey, Billy, I have an event, but each event is only $1,000, but it's
mhm,
3 events, right? And we're locking you for all 3 of them, right? So I look at my calendar, making sure these days are great. Like, okay, do I have
right.
a booth that? Yeah, you guys make sure too your equipment. So the downside of it, right? So I'm gonna jump around. So the downside of this, if you lock down your equipment for a white label, right? You're binded. You're committed to that job itself. So you have to. You can't just. So that's the thing. If you're paying this guy $600, right? You don't know if he's gonna be like, hey, I got another job for 2,000, right? I'm not doing your job for 600 no more, right? So
Yeah,
these kind of things. If I lock down your job for 12, I see a job for 3,000, I can't take it if I don't have the means of doing it, right? Because I'm
right.
and tell you the truth, last year it's happened to me 4 or 5 times, at
Oh,
least 4 or 5 times. Yeah, it was sick. I was so livid
that's a
that
lot.
I didn't have the help that I needed. We're talking about triple the amount of the white label that I'm doing, right?
Yeah,
There's no
that's tough.
choice. Yeah, and then also there are times where I can negotiate with my person that's asking me to white label. I say, I'm, like, I know this industry, like, men say, oh, do not white label. But if your client is okay to if let's say I talk to a company like, XYZ company, hey, I white label for you all the time, but I can't do your white label this time. Can I white label your white label to one of my guys that I normally white label to, right?
Yeah,
So, basically you show them the work, everything's good, as long as they're okay and they're in agreement, but I'm still responsible for this
right.
one, right? For this guy. So if I wasn't confident that this guy could do the work, I wouldn't have said it to the client. I would have to eat it, swallow it, and do it myself, and
Yeah,
not or white label the $3,000 event to this guy. You know what I mean?
yep,
So it's a give or take. You dictate your prices because your equipment is basically your equipment is your asset. If your asset is dedicated and allocated to something, then you have to be committed to it. Otherwise,
right.
yeah. So you can so just by that, any pricing wise, you have to be the one to judge yourself. Like today, I'm not bringing out a photo booth. I'm bringing lighting and
Mm,
cams and stuff like that. So and it's not none of my photo booths up, but yet I'm charging a higher rate than I would white label a photo booth because I have to make sure that it's properly lit, everything is properly taped down, sharing stations are good, tech is good, making sure Wi-Fi is all good. I bring 2 or 3 MiFi's from 2 or 3 different companies. I don't play when it comes down to like when it's something like this.
yeah, Wi-Fi.
You're charging the correct amount for it, and they better you better be able to not say, "Oh crap, we're down." There's no such thing. So
Yeah.
that's why with the track record, it shows by itself. And if you're good enough, you can basically charge them anything you want. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "Oh crap, we trust him though." He costs a lot of money. We trust him. Are we still gonna make money out of it? Yes, we're gonna make money out of it by hiring him. Let's just hire him, and it's a peace of mind. They don't have,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have any doubts that your event is gonna go bad. You're gonna be like, "Hey, your event is gonna go well if you hire Billy." So it's
So
that, yeah.
for people who are looking to add this business model to their business, what would you suggest in regard, like they already have their pricing for what they're offering their own clients?
Mhm.
How much less? Because I think that you should charge less for a white label.
Mhm.
You're not doing, or maybe you don't, I don't know. It's up to you. Like
Yep.
you're not doing the overlay, you're not dealing with the client. You're literally just doing the man work. So I know I give off like a $200, $300 discount personally.
That's, to me, is a gray area, right? It's a gray area. It depends on who you're working with,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes the photo booth owners, companies that I deal with, right, they
Mhm.
don't do anything. Like, basically, here's the asset, program it, you're using your Snappic
Oh,
or something like that. Depends on how much that we have to do as well, how much we have to put into it. I have clients
yeah.
that are here's the login code, we're ready to go, right? So that's how white label supposed, in my opinion, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, for a genuine photo booth white label, they do everything, like, from A to B. You just go there, put in your code, or they'll jump in and remote into your computer. If you're using a PC, like using Breeze, they'll come in and set it up all up, or they'll send you the profile, load it in, right? And then you test it and everything's good to go. You don't have to deal with the back and forth, like making adjustments, and then whatever it is. There are clients also that you have to get on phone calls and meetings and blah 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 with their team, and there's more
Right.
to that. It's not just a normal, "Hey, go and do this event" kind of thing, right? Then that
I
would
see.
be probably like on the lower end, right? But as far as that, I don't really anymore stray away from my rates. Like, yeah, you could say those one or two people. Yeah, I mean, I do have a relationship with. Yeah, we'll go down, like, go down a little bit, and then obviously they're sending me. We're talking about, like, they're giving me like 5 figures worth of business a year. So, like, hey, obviously, I would do you, even if it was their birthdays. I'll probably throw it in for them for free. It kind of,
Yeah.
it has happened. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this is the way of doing business. But also, at the same time, for anybody who wants to throw this into business, you have to make sure you have the manpower to do it and equipment to do it. Because, like, you never know. Let us say, okay, I'm hiring you for a print photo booth for this day, but I need you to bring extra lighting, you know. But I
Yeah.
need, and we're doing single prints and unlimited printing, right? Then you got just, at the end, you don't know about this until like the day before the job, So you have to
Yeah.
account for these type of changes, and then you can't, then and there, you can't just be, "Oh, I need another $400 for this," right? So you can't say that, right? So,
Yeah.
like, for me, I'm always accounting for any changes, and sometimes I'll eat the cost. Like, let's say, "Hey, crap, oh crap!" Like Chelsea Piers, $100 parking. Chelsea Piers.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Parking.
easy, right?
I never even think about parking.
Yeah, easy, $100 parking. I mean, you made me say extra. And so, "Oh, Billy, we need you to get there 3 hours earlier," or something like that. And instead of, you account for the idle time, stuff like that. Like, if
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, yes, I would be like, "Hey, listen, I need a couple $100 more for this," right? But if it's just, like, maybe extra hour, or the parking costs another $15, kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I'll just eat the cost. Like, it's no, to me, if you can't eat that kind of cost, then you shouldn't really be doing it too. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's the white, people who jump in the industry, they have to know that their clients are actually the people that are hiring them. So it's
Right.
not like you're working with a direct client. Your direct client is actually the photo booth owner that's hiring you. So you wouldn't be going back to your client and saying the things you're gonna say to this guy just because you're doing a white label for them, right? Because
Right.
it's your job to satisfy them, and if they're not satisfied, they will never hire you again. I feel like photo booth companies, like my clients, right, are more important than my direct clients, which are, like, right now they have the one-offs. Like, we're talking about wedding, you're talking about, like the one-offs, like sweet 16s or something like that. I feel like my white label partners are 10 times more important than these guys. So it's like the residuals come back, the residual way of them hiring you, it's much better, you know?
Once a photo booth business gets that one client that
Yeah.
is like repeat,
Yeah.
that's when you start to really understand the importance of relationships
Yeah.
and communication and, customer service all around
Yep.
in your entire life,
And you
you
wine
know?
and dine them. You have no choice. You have to, like, let's
Yeah.
say I see these guys at PBX, I'm buying them drinks. I'm buying them dinner, stuff like that. I haven't It's always been them buying me stuff lately. I mean, I don't know why. It's like I've been trying to set up something at PBX to take my great white labels out, my five-figure white label companies out. But it's usually them inviting me to things and buying me drinks, and I mean, it's been a blessing in that aspect. I feel like they won't let me pay for anything, but eventually I should do something. I recognize that I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Without them, I probably wouldn't, be where I'm at.
Send them a fruit basket.
Right? I don't even have the office address. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
Nicholas Rose is one of my bigger ones too. Al Snap. He's
oh yeah.
yeah, he's based out of North. So it's like it's not competition anymore. Like
Yeah.
he's based out of New York. He has his own equipment. He does his own events too. But yeah, he's able to give me 5-figure worth of events. So
That's
it's
awesome.
yeah,
I think I
it's
need
not
to move to New York.
yeah. I mean, thing is, right now this
Just
season
kidding.
for some reason this season in New York is slow. I'm we
It's
all
slow
feel it.
here too. It's slow here too.
Yeah, it is, right?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I just think that people are now finally coming off of that post-pandemic,
Yeah, yeah,
like we
yeah,
need to do all the events and we need to spend all this money
yeah.
and now I think people are starting to realize
Hey,
that
let's not spend
funds
so much.
I mean, companies are,
Yeah,
doing a lot of especially the tech companies here, and
yeah,
they're doing a lot of layoffs and firing. So
it's crazy.
yeah,
And
when you
also
see stuff like that, it's
mm,
really hard for them to, like, corporations to justify laying off people and then spending a shit ton of money on
on an
photo
event,
booths
yeah,
and, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, that's true. But hey, I just fired 5,000 people, but we're gonna do a party next week, giving out like bonuses, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's. I mean, I seen those happen. I seen those things come and go, especially in the city over here. A lot of people went back to decided to have the employees go back to work instead of working from
Yeah.
home. And I think my company, like we're talking about December, so that's I used to have a 9 to 5 job. Up until December, I'm actually full time photo booth now. Like it's scary in a way, but
Yay.
it's yeah, it's
Congratulations.
exciting. Yeah, exciting. So that was really remarkable for me. Where I was like, I called all the other photo booth companies. I'm like, hey guys, I'm free now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it's been coming. They flew me like Miami, stuff like that. I've been flying, going to Charlotte, going to DC, things like that. It's
That's
been a blessing.
awesome.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. But I'm
So
more
how
free
how
to
do you
invest.
make money if you're flying? Are they paying for your flights too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So white
That
label
sounds
amazing.
great.
They know everything. They're like, oh, good, great, have a great event. That's it. And after that, send them an invoice. Good to go. A lot of people also that too. You shouldn't really want to get paid before the job. You should really do the job first. And so I can't say I'm 100%. I have my screw up. Screw up. Look, plur up. What's your singular? Right. So there are some, like, I would say probably in my photo booth lifetime, I probably screwed up a couple times, like three. Out of like maybe like 800 events, I probably screwed up twice. That kind of thing.
That's
Two,
impressive.
one was actually not my screw up. One was the name on the bottom is a logo. We're talking about this is like 2014 too. The logo on the bottom, they approved it. It's funny. He didn't know how to spell his wife's name, basically. So Phoebe, so I should have looked, and I got approval. He said, yes, this looks great. So we did a print, and then he came back. He goes, hey, you spelled my wife's name wrong. I was like, but you approved this. And that was hilarious. That was my first. I was like, obviously my first time messing up, I felt really, really guilty. But at the same time, like, but you approved it. So I met her halfway, where I was like, oh, I give you half back. And then he was still upset about it. So I was like, all right, listen, forget about it. Don't pay me.
Yeah.
I was like, forget it, don't pay me. Whatever. And then obviously after that, he felt guilty, and he quick paid me $200 or $300. I don't remember. He's like, because his wife was the one mad, right? But he
Yeah.
knows he screwed up because He approved
Yeah.
it. So he didn't want me to go to his wife, be like, "Hey," and say it again, be like, "Your man approved it." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible. So
Funny.
that was the first screw up. Second one, I can't say which company I did it for. One of my guys, he wasn't looking out for lighting. We're doing a glam event, and the sun moved into the backdrop,
Ugh.
and he didn't adjust accordingly. I
Mm.
don't know what he was doing. He's like, "Oh, but they like the output, though." I'm like, "But it's not. Your output wasn't consistent because of the sun. You have to adjust
Yeah.
to it. I screwed up. Didn't invoice the company at all. So I mean that too. Another time, I think it was the same company actually. So they might able for. I can't name the name. I don't want to name the name. I mean, I don't do much events for them anymore because he has his own team down here now. So
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, we still talk. We're friends. We still talk. We see each other. We drink. Whatever it is. We're still friends. Yeah, even at PBX. So yeah, he's very big in the industry. So basically, second time was when I first bought the Min booth and I hooked it up, and basically I always use Min booth with DSLR and PC, but I was using it with SnapPick this time. He's like, "Okay, we use SnapPick." I was like, "All right, it's my first time. I'm gonna bring it out. It should work." And at home we testing, and it worked. No, it was flawless. Got to site after the first 3 tests. When it first people started using it, bam, the camera would disconnect. Camera wasn't
Oh.
connecting. Camera wasn't connecting. Like, damn, oh my goodness. So I was at another event, pretty close by. I drove. I got my BA to handle it. I got my guy who was working that event to come up there, go out to handle that event, and I went down to troubleshoot it. It was terrible, terrible. To find out, basically what happened was, and I didn't bring extra cords that day too, like to find out what's going on. The photographer actually had a C to C cord because the camera was using a C cable. Oh no, it was a USB micro cable to a C cable directly into the iPad, and that works. Obviously that works. So we know that works. I didn't bring an extra cable like that. I'm an idiot. I didn't pack because my first time going out with this booth is brand new, and
Mm.
then that worked. And we tried to finally figure out when I came home, it was between a 20-watt adapter for the iPad that it came with, 20 watt, versus you needed at least 30 watt to power the hub.
Oh my.
Yeah, and I screwed up. So 2 hours, we did a 2 hour event. Everybody got to use it. Everybody was happy at the end of the night, right?
Yeah.
However, I didn't bill the client. So it was like basically I didn't bill him. I gave him back. Like what? I was like, all right, screw it. It's my screw up.
Yeah.
So you have to also take in account that you can screw up. And don't expect to get paid if you do screw up because you want to keep a relationship with these people. It's like I feel like this is the best way. Don't pay me anything. Like screw it.
Yeah.
It's my fault because if it wasn't for me, your event would have been awesome. You would have got paid by a client. No, if it's a bust, you probably got more clients after that for it. But I screwed up, and I represent your company in a bad way. So you have to take that. Also, if he didn't call me back or anything like that, then I would be like, oh crap, he's really pissed off at me. But obviously, there's certain gigs that in last September he did call me for to handle, and I was unable to do it for him. I had to say no because it was too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were times that was too busy. I was like, yo, I would love to do it for you, but that special particular day had like 6 things going on. So I'm like, yo, I have nobody going out.
Sheesh.
Yeah. We have events like we do like multiple events a day as well. Multiple white labels, as a matter of
That's
fact.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a good team. That's all that matters.
Yeah. How many do you have on your team?
I have 7. I have 7 and maybe like 4 rotating BAs.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
it's been a build. It's been a build. It
Yeah.
also I have let people go. Have you know I promoted people as well. Some people get a little more than that. I have people that when I go away, he's a manager. He's my right hand man. He handles everything. Like basically, I would still be on point, right? Be like, I would, hey, look, I need you to do this before I go away. But there was one time where he's like, oh crap, like it wasn't oh crap. It was I was at Cancun. So then somebody calls me as a white label. Hey, do you have a 360 available like tomorrow, kind of thing? I called my guy, right? I was like, yo, can you do this? Yeah, no problem. So it's like that kind of stuff. That I'm blessed that my guys are able to do. Because other than
Yeah.
that, like a lot of owners, you'll be like wary. You most likely do it yourself. So getting in as a new person to do this white labeling, you have to balance yourself out. It takes a lot of balance. Once you're committed to a certain job, you can't stray away and say you want to do something else. Unless you have
Yeah.
a team that can do it. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. It
I
wasn't
know.
easy for
And
me.
I think that's like I love that you're saying that because it's it does sound so easy, but
Yeah.
then when you do it, like you said, you know,
Yeah.
at first when you were talking about when I asked the question of like, should you bring your prices down a little bit for the
Yeah.
white label because you're not doing as much?
Yeah.
But yeah, you do end up doing
Yeah.
more, not more, but just as much because you are meeting with them. They are, you know, sending you things. And it's funny because I feel like the easiest jobs I get paid more for.
Yeah. True. Like an iPad
Do
booth,
you
right?
feel
Just
do you feel that way too
yeah.
sometimes?
So like
Like,
I could go to do a iPad booth and just get over $1,000 for it just by doing nothing and hire a BA for like what 25, $35 an hour, and then
yeah,
$100 gone. So you literally take in $1,100 for just dropping off a photo booth and plug it
yeah,
into your battery. it's,
yeah,
it's even easier. You don't have to even waste gaff tape.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean
I
that stuff happens. Yes,
I think the hardest part is the internet. That's
yeah,
amazing that you have 3 different hotspots from
yeah,
different companies.
yeah. I got Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have all the. I mean, there are times AT&T didn't work. Like I was at the Rainbow Room the other day, and AT&T didn't work, so we had to use Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that
Ha
happen.
have you ever had it to where none work?
Oh yeah, definitely. So we were at. So I did a event. It wasn't Whiteley. It was actually direct. It's for Dolly. Dolly Parton in Nashville.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was
Dolly, I love
Nashville.
Dolly.
So we built a custom booth for them, right? And we're like,
Mhm.
hey, we're hoping that the place had internet. The internet's going to be good. It's not going to be messed up and stuff like that. What happened was their internet was bad on testing day. They were like they didn't have the tech guys probably didn't dedicate enough bandwidth to that thing because it was inside the studio or something like that. I was like,
Oh,
how can
yeah.
this place not have internet? Nothing worked. Phone service didn't work. There's no cell towers anywhere. Most likely no cell towers.
Yeah.
So Verizon had one bar and was like trickling, and it didn't work. So what happened? What I had to do was take the iPad out of the booth, drive, refresh. As soon as I got refresh, and then start the event, plug everything back in, and go. And tell the guests, "Oh, you're gonna get your
Oh, no.
email later." You had no choice. Thank God we're using Snappic, or I would have
Yeah.
had to pull out a computer and do everything. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, so it has happened, and then you just let them know, be like, "Hey, it's due to your internet." But the funny part, the next day, the internet worked. They fixed it, like the activation day. Setup day didn't work. Activation day didn't work.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it ended up working. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
So tomorrow I have a setup at the Java Center over here. And the event is going to be for the first. So 30th setup, yeah, for the first. And then hoping Java Center, that internet there, I don't know if you're familiar with the Java Center here. It's retarded. And then it's like we're talking about you get less than 1 meg up, 1 meg down, right? So what's
Wow.
gonna happen is we're doing a print booth, and then the sharing we'll just let them know, hey, oh, come when it comes, What we did as far as the min booths, right? We're able to convert them into a way where we're able to print without internet. And through Snappic, this is through Snappic printing without internet. Yeah. We wired in. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, trade secret. That's a trade secret. It's a workflow. So I started this workflow with LAPP stuff. It's all wired, so everything has to be wired.
Yeah.
But everything's connected to one hub kind of thing. One
How
one.
many booths do you own?
I have 4. I sold one to Jason recently. I still have one that's a new shell too, because I'm gonna take his money that I made from that booth too. Not made, recover from that booth to build a new min booth because I do have a new one too. So total min booths I have 4. Auras, iPad booths, regular Auras have 4. Aura M I have 1 of them. I have a mirror booth. I have 2. I have a 39-inch Orca, a 36-inch Orca.
Wow.
Shoot, what else do I have? I have a 6-camera array. I
Oh,
have
yeah.
tracks and dollies and stuff like that. Yeah. So
Wow.
quite a bit of stuff. Do I need everything all the time? Probably not, but it's just good to have as
Yeah.
like somebody say, "Oh, I need this for the job." Like back then I used to be like, "Hey, I need to go out and buy this." I'm like, "No, I don't. I'm not trying to buy anything anymore."
I know when we had our
Yeah.
dinner for the Min Booth get
Yeah.
together that me and you planned,
Yeah. Yeah.
we were both like, Did you buy anything? Nope. I'm
Yeah.
not buying nothing. Not buying nothing." And then
Yeah.
Jason showed us that printer and we were like, Looks
We're
like we're
buying it. I'm
buying
still waiting. We're supposed to get I'm waiting for a call from Dark Image and
something.
Spectrum, right? I think they're going to
Yeah.
be the dealer.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Steve Benn to give me a call because he knows that I want it badly.
Yeah, I do
That's an
too.
awesome. That's an awesome way to print stuff.
I mean, it can be it's just gonna be so that frosted look is
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
And
thinking I already knows. We'll talk offline and think of ways to market and have a completed product for a client kind of thing. You know,
yeah,
I'll tell you about it. I have stuff that I have in mind for that.
I have something in mind too. As a matter of fact, there's like actual bookstores, not
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble here
Uh-huh.
in Napa.
Yep.
And I was thinking that it would be so cool to do like instead of photo strips, because that particular paper could be used for like bookmarks.
Yeah.
And I
Parchment.
was
Yeah, it's
thinking
like it's
that
like
would
thick
be
paper.
kind
Yeah.
of fun to
Yeah.
do
No. Yeah.
like
That's
bookmarks.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Or having the sketching AI stuff now that's going on. You know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy. I know
It's
the
crazy.
Sketchbot stuff I never got into. I mean, I know people with it. I can rent it from them, but it's not something that I ever thought about selling. But I just hearing about it now, just from my peers and stuff like that, it might be worthwhile to look into. So,
Yeah, I think Catalina just did a YouTube video of like a review for her of the sketchbots.
oh yeah, okay,
Yeah, I need to
great.
check it out. I haven't seen it myself,
Yeah,
but
I gotta catch up. Yeah, her things are usually very very good. Yeah,
yes.
very helping. Yeah.
I like to say that Catalina is like, because I'm a dancer. I grew up
Huh?
dancing, and her last name is Block, which is a ballet
Uh huh.
brand. And so I like to say that Catalina is kind of the ballet of photo booth.
Yeah,
She
the queen.
It's like she's so graceful. She's beautiful. Her branding is beautiful. Everything is like,
Yeah.
precise and pristine. And it's to me like a standard. Like, okay, that's a good standard to have because she's really, really good at what she does.
Yes, she is. She is. Yes,
And so
yeah.
and then I say, I'm kind of the hip hop and, the jazz of
Got
photo
it.
boothing. I am not like I've been sitting here staring at my hair because of my blow dryer. I
Look at
can't find
Lauren
my blow
Hill, you know?
dryer. So I'm like, whatever,
No, I'm here just hanging out in our room because we have the kids are off and they have friends over, so I'm like, okay, let me.
Oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
was I was thinking that this might not even happen today. I was like, oh crap! Then I was like, I'm just gonna lock myself in our bedroom and
Yeah,
just do the call.
I know. You get to that point where it's like, okay, at least I have makeup on.
There you go.
I've got some good lighting, sort
Yeah,
of.
that's true. That's true. It
Yeah,
looks
I'm
good.
not I'm not who I once was. I used to care too much.
And spend like hours in the bathroom before you go out, right?
Yeah, I don't know about hours. I'm not really that into like makeup and stuff. I do it for other people because they seem to like it.
Yeah, that's true.
But if
Uh,
you saw me on a daily basis just
yeah,
going about my business, my hair is in a bun
that's it.
and no makeup and I'm comfortable.
You know,
So,
a lot of bosses that like a lot of boss that own their own companies or successful or people, right? They look like
yeah.
bums.
Yeah,
That's very like I
it's true.
when I go out, I'm in sweatpants. I'm literally wearing the gray sweatpants. I don't even care. I got the
Yeah.
champion gray sweatpants, and maybe with my sweater or something like that. And it's like I'm going out like that. It won't be like how I go out in PBX. You know, like PBX. You know, obviously my wife buys me all these nice and fancy clothes that I dress in, but you know,
That's
I'm
nice.
not like that at all. Like
Yeah.
when it's normal day, I'm just like whatever, sweat, sneakers, and that's it. Even
Well,
slippers.
I think you're the only one who didn't say anything like, because the whole time on the cruise, I didn't wear any makeup.
Huh?
And I know people were getting up and doing the makeup and their hair, and I was like, it's too humid here. And
Huh?
like, I'm going to be in the water. So
Exactly.
no makeup for me.
Yeah.
And then when I went to PBX, I walked up to Patrice
She was like,
and
"Whoa."
she didn't recognize me at all. I was like, hey. And she's like, hi. And I was like, do you not recognize me? And she's like, I said, what did I say? I said, yeah, do you not recognize me? And she's like, oh
Uh-huh.
no, I know you. Or I said, do you not remember me? That's what it was. She's like,
Uh-huh.
no, I remember you. But I could tell she didn't
She
know
did
who
it.
I was.
She was
And I
like,
was like, Patrice, it's Anna Banana from the cruise. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't even recognize you. Like, yeah, I know. This is what I look like when I work.
yeah, exactly.
It's for other people, and most
Yeah.
people are always like, you should wear makeup all the time. Ugh,
Uh,
it's not my thing. I'm a boy mom. I have 4 boys.
well, I mean, I know your last one is already through college, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
my first one is 24,
yeah.
will be 25 in a few months, and then I've got my second son, who is in the Air Force basic training
Yep.
right now. I know when we saw each other on the cruise, he had
Yeah.
just called me, which was crazy because I thought my phone was on airport mode, and it
Airplane mode.
was. I think it was, but I can't tell. Anyway, his call came through, and it ended up being like a huge blessing. But he's in the Air Force, so he's 21,
Uh-huh.
just turned 21 in March, and then my twins will be turning 19 in like, I don't know, 13 days.
College?
Crazy.
They're in college now.
No, one of
No?
them is trying to be a lineman
Okay.
for the PG or
Yeah.
electric lineman,
Yeah.
because that's what his girlfriend's dad does, and he makes, six figures. So he's like,
Yeah, why? Yeah, why put
yeah,
yourself through so much pain?
yeah. So he's going to go to school, I think, this month to go be a lineman. It's like a 4-month school. And then my fourth child just went through MEPS. He's trying to go into Space Force.
Wow.
I
Okay.
know. So
Hopefully that works.
yeah, all of my kids are really, really smart, and they, scored really high on the ASVAB test, which is what opens the doors up, for them. And they're not criminals. They're not, they don't
That's a
do
blessing
drugs.
already. That's it. I'm a
Yeah.
little worried about raising my two brats. They're two boys. They're 8 and they're one is 8, one is 6, and they look like they're gonna be criminals for some reason. I don't know. I feel like I don't know how to control them sometimes. Like it's like even they're uncontrollable. Like one they have tempers and they fight each other and then they love each other and then you never know that when they want to love you they cuddle with you, but when they're mad they're mad. So I don't know. It's scary. Their personalities are scary.
It's just so funny because, I mean, like in hindsight, I can tell you, they're going to be just fine,
Yeah.
because I used to stress over my kids all the time,
Uh-huh.
like worrisome anxiety,
Yeah.
and I look back and when you're going through parenting, nobody reads a parenting book before
Yep.
they become a parent. You read them while you're parenting,
Uh-huh.
right? You're like, oh shit, I'm having this issue with my kid. I got to go to the library, figure out what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
and address it, or find out the best way to address it, right?
Yep.
Or any kind of help. And so what I feel like is ultimately, I mean, you just have to set the example.
Yeah.
Like, like your kids are going to grow up to be just like you, Billy, and they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, like I was, there was punishment back then for me, like with the hangers and the
Well,
bells, right? But we can't do that no more. So, I mean, that forced me
yeah.
to listen. So I don't know how to force them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little on the difficult end, but yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I was a scary Italian style mom. Was like, I could give you a look
yep, and that's it.
and they know.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, but I followed through.
yeah.
I was
I
a
mean,
follow.
that's good. Yeah, look at you. You're almost done. So, truthfully, you're on the road to retirement very, very soon.
Yeah, I know I'm done with the kids.
Yeah, that's it.
I kicked them
Yeah,
out. I sold my house. I sold my house
yeah.
last summer, and I told
Uh-huh.
them, because their dad moved in to our hometown, and I was like, I'm not
Uh-huh.
staying here any longer than I have to. And so I told them about a year and a half before they graduated. I said, I'm selling the house and I'm moving out of town, and I'm not buying another house. I'm getting a trailer, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna, travel the world or stay on my sister's property. And they were like,
Yeah.
okay, like they had to figure it out.
So you're saying you're in the trailer right now? Really?
I li- I really do. Well, not right now, because okay, check
Oh,
this out.
huh?
So I sold everything and I bought like a $5,000 trailer in
Okay.
August. And it's like this cute little refurbished trailer. But my
Huh?
sister has like 50 acres here in Napa.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so I just live on her property.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, I can cook in her kitchen. I can, use her shower. It's not
Oh, of
like,
course.
it's just basically like my own room.
Yeah, your own living room kind of thing. I mean, your
Yeah.
own living space. Yeah.
Yeah. My own like little
Wow.
living space, but
That's
not right now.
amazing.
So I know it's actually been really, really cool. I
It's
was
good.
like, at first I thought I was only going to do it for like 6 months and then go
Yeah.
and get myself an apartment. But I'm like, I love being an aunt. Like, it is
Yeah.
the coolest role
Yeah.
ever. And I get to be like, live, because my sister's kids are 14
Huh?
and 12. I
Wow.
think he'll be 12 this year. And yeah, so they're like coolest age, you know. I'm
What
just
do you
having so much fun with them.
Where do you store your equipment?
This is my office. I have a storage unit.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, hold on, let me see if I can do this. There's my equipment.
Oh
two
wow.
min
So on the
two
corner.
min booths.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
two min booths here, and then
Yeah.
I've got an Aura in the storage. But I also have like a rinky dink iPad photo booth that I don't use too
Yeah.
in
I
there.
mean, as far as iPad booths, I always like, especially when they just iPad booths, Aura got to be the way to go. I mean, so easy, so
Aura,
simple.
oh my gosh. I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna have Mike on next week
Yeah.
after you. I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's like the ultimate photo
Yeah.
booth for iPads for sure.
Yeah, and to control the light, the lighting's awesome, and you know you
It's
can't.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Aura
So
since, like the beginning of time.
another thing I was going to say is
Mhm.
on top of living at my sister's, I'm a part of this app called Trusted House Sitters. And I think you pay like $100 per year and you get connected with all these different house sitter, like people who need a house sitter or a dog sitter.
There's such a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called Trusted House Sitters. I'll have to put the link in the description on YouTube in case anybody else wants to do this, but it's so cool. I have stayed in $1 million mansions here in Napa,
Wow.
just house sitting and, you know, dog sitting, and I've made connections with people, and yeah, it's really cool.
That's
So
freaking
I'm actually
awesome.
house sitting for somebody who I've house sat for since I moved here in August,
Uh-huh.
and he trusts me. That's the thing about trust. You know, when you get
Yeah.
people
Uh-huh.
who trust you, and they'll hand the keys to their house over to
Yeah.
you for a month. So
That's amazing.
I'm house sitting for this guy, and he's got a hot tub, and I literally just live in his house and take care of the cutest golden doodle I've ever seen. And he's such a sweet little dog. Easy. Yeah. It's the best. So
I'm
that's why I
very,
haven't
very,
gotten my apartment yet.
I'm very surprised. I
I
think that
know.
you're fine doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's actually,
Yeah.
you know, the universe has surprised me because I have been a mom since I was 18.
Yeah.
So it's like I turned 42 last year. I just turned 43. But when I turned 42, it was like this is the year where I
Yeah.
don't have kids. Like after that, and I sold all my stuff, but I went to concerts, stuff that I never
Yeah.
like allowed myself to do. I went on a cruise with
Yeah.
all you awesome boothers. I went to Denver to My High's, you know, Jeff Libby's thing that
The
he does there,
getaway
his
thing. Yeah.
showcase.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like these are things that I would never have been able to justify spending money on
Yeah.
when my boys were really little. But
Yeah.
now I'm a free woman.
You're
It's
taking care
great.
of yourself now, so which is
That's
good.
right.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's all. I'm happy to hear your story.
Thank you.
This interview has this podcast has turned into a get to know Anna.
Getting to know you.
Yeah.
I actually did one of those podcast episodes a couple of weeks ago. I did one where it was just kind of like
Uh-huh.
an overview of my education and experience, just in case people were wondering. But I
Yep.
would love to have you back on to do that because it's a series that I want to start called Behind the Booth,
Mhm.
where it's just talks about your experience, the cool, you know,
Yeah.
activations that you've done, and just whatever stories you want to share. That'd be cool.
I'm down. As long as
Awesome.
the timing works out, you know, like something like this is fine.
That's awesome. Well, I
Mhm.
appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Is there anything else we should put out there in regards to white labels that
Well,
people don't?
I was actually end it and say, but it's not for everybody. It depends, you know,
Yeah.
like it really depends on how you operate your own company. What are your priorities on your company? You know, so I mean, for us to do white labeling, it does, like for me, how I came into it is because I had the means of doing it after pandemic, because I'm not, you know, I wasn't really super hungry waiting for money, because it's, how do you say, it's, I had a job, you know, so it wasn't something that I was like too worried about. But nowadays I worry because it's the only thing that I'm doing now. So if I was in a position where this is my only way of living, I would consider filling up my calendar. I would consider being committed to your white label partners, and just know that you might be losing a higher paid job just take in consideration or build a team that you could trust because it only takes one mess up. Like literally, it
Yeah,
takes one mess up. You're not white labeling for anybody anymore. That's it. It's
I know.
over. You steal somebody's. It's so easy. Steal somebody's client, poach somebody's client. It's over. Give out your business card. It's over. Any little thing that you can think of, it's over. So that's why I train my guys to a point where, hey, listen, you can't. You have to know. Like the thing is, why me and a person ain't friends no more. There's a reason. So like as I say, I photo booth that I rented back then. But I mean, it's like you just gotta be wary. Like any little flinch, you just like, especially like even if a big company hires you and they're thinking that you might be talking to their client, poaching them or something like that, you would never get a job with them ever again. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. Yes, people make mistakes, but you just got to own up to them, and good luck if this is the path you want to take. Yeah. I don't know. It's not that hard to decide to get into it, but it's you can always stop. You can always get out of it, like saying no to people, but it sucks you in. It sucks you in. I haven't said no. I have said no because I couldn't handle the gigs, but I would never say no if I'm free. Like if I can handle the gig, like to much the residuals. But let's say a new company comes to me and says, "Hey, $600, go do this." I'm like, I don't know, no.
Yeah.
But however, if let's say a person's like, "Hey, it's my niece's birthday," or like one of my clients, my niece's birthday, can you hook it up? My daughter's birthday, can you hook it up? Yeah, I wouldn't think twice because you're my client. You give me a lot of business, so you just gotta act that way. You just gotta know when to give and when to take.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I think that we should talk about that on an opposite
Uh-huh.
level too, is if you are the one who is white labeling to another client
Yep.
or to another photo booth operator, you want to be nice to those people too.
Yeah, exactly. No, you have to be nice to them. So,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like some of the owners, yeah, they have to be really nice to the people that are doing the jobs for them. You can't just, you know, I mean, obviously, you have to get to the point before you hire them. You let them know what you expect from them before you hire them. Things might change. You can say things might change to what limitations. You have to let them know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you're right. There is definitely both. It works both ways. That's what we call. Is it something wrong with the internet?
I know. That's what it's saying, but I don't, it's not. It's saying trying
Yeah,
to reconnect.
it looks fine to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's just definitely the relationship has to be nice on both ends. That's why you call each other partners, not rather than a white labeler and a person who white labels. So you call each other partners.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
basically, I have partners now, not rather than
Oh, no.
rather than saying, "Oh, he's just my client." I do say some are clients still, but I have a lot of partners that keep me going. So which is that's the awesome part about this.
Oh, there we Okay. Here I am.
All right, there we go.
Anyway, you were talking about being nice to
Yeah,
white labelers.
yeah, you gotta be nice to everybody. Like right now, you become partners with them. There are some people that I would never probably white label for. I mean, I've encountered that, or I just jack up the price so high that they would not want to hire me. And if they do want to hire me, then so be it. Then you have to suck it up. If they
Yeah.
want to be assholes to you, then you charge them the asshole fee and they're willing to pay it, and okay, let's take it. That's it.
I call it the pain in my ass
Yeah.
tax.
The axe tax. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I used to call it by name tax, but hey, this is so it'd be like, hey, doing the event plus 4 dealing with your ass. That kind of thing. Yeah, if they're willing to pay for it, I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing you can say. You just gotta do the job. Once you
Yeah.
throw a pitch, like it's not a pitch. Once you throw a rate, that's how you gotta stick with it. You can't really go back and forth. That's what people makes you think. You start scaring clients, even with regular clients. You start scaring them, like, hey, you wanted this now? I'm gonna add on this. You can't really do that. Like imagine somebody's doing it to you. You just do things to others as you want people to do things to you. So you just gotta act the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it affects your business when, you're not really nice to people online or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I need somebody to white label for me. And it's like, no,
No,
we don't want to
well,
work.
people talk. I mean, people talk. Trust me, like even the pros, they talk. Everybody talks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we like that. This guy's not good. That guy's not good.
Yeah,
Like, hey, do we have a shit list available?
I know.
That kind of thing. Yeah,
A
it
blacklist.
it happened.
White label,
Yeah,
a blacklist for white labeling. That's kind of funny.
yeah. There is I don't know if you know Jonathan Joy. You ever met him before?
Mm-mm.
John Jaw. So he's one of he's a mint booth owner. He has like 10 mint booths. But he walked by that during that dinner, but I don't think he stayed. But he just recently asked if there was a I don't know which group he asked. Is there a shit list that we could make it?
Shitless. I love
Yeah, it's
it.
like a shit list, like basically, and it's true. Like, you want to stay clear. Certain people that you want to stay clear of, be like, hey, they're not honest. They don't do. I know a lot of people that could throw names in there, but I mean, I'm not here for that. It's I just know for a fact, and if people know that I'm affiliated with like certain people, they'll ask me. They'll be like, hey, Billy, is this person good? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. Or they be, Billy, you have anybody you could refer? And and here, there. I'm like, yeah, we're pretty much, I'm able to find somebody pretty much anywhere,
Yeah.
kind of thing that I do trust. Like Nav Napa. See,
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah. So it's like anybody who needs to refer is more of a connection,
Yeah.
having a connection there with people, and that's very important too. Like that's also letting new people come in. Connection has to be your connection to people. That's why PBX you have to mingle.
Yeah.
You really have to go out there.
I mean, I know so many people who go to PBX and they're just like, oh, I didn't know that all this stuff was going on. All the
Yeah.
networking events that take place. And I didn't. The first year, I didn't at all. I
Yeah.
met everybody at Booth Mastermind on Sunday.
Yeah.
I missed your talk
Yeah.
because
Oh
I
yeah.
only
The
went
talk.
on
Well,
I
Saturday
went
I
on
remember.
Sunday only. But when I went,
I put.
everybody was
Yeah.
like mind blown because of how
Yeah.
much information had been received. But yeah, the
It was big.
opportunities to network alone are so good for your business. And I mean, just talking about how when we were at dinner and, talking about, I made it a point this year to ask everybody that I could after they would go onto the cool things did you find on there, because everybody's
Yep.
filter is different and we're all drawn to different things. And so,
Yep.
excuse me. So, that's how we found that printer. And then I also have had
Yeah.
those video books that somebody else had told me about. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah. Big. Those monitor and stuff, right?
Yeah, the video boxes. Man,
Yeah.
I have been following those people and I'm a part of their email marketing list. And the
Yeah.
things that they use those books for are amazing. Like
Yeah.
pitches. You could put a bunch
Yeah.
of 360 videos on there. You could put a bunch of branding activations that you've done and send it to a CEO and be like, I want to do this for your brand. Like that's an
Yeah.
incredible way to pitch your services,
Yep. Mhm. I've been for pitching wise, right? Lately, yeah, obviously, I'm trying to score my own clients, right? So I'm using Canva lately, which is thanks to a bunch of people like Lab and Min and them there on this Canva game, and I'm like, wow, it's just like it's mind blowing how it's changing. So that's why when I could drop off a photo booth, I'll hire a BA to go do it. That's what I am. I'm on Canva on my laptop, just building out pitches, stuff that I can do.
Yeah.
Hopefully it falls on great hands, so that's all it needs to be. Like, you could pitch to 1,000 people. Once it falls on that first one person that says, wow, I like this, I want this, you're already making money, so that's that's basically the goal of it. If I send it out to 1,000 people, if I had 1,000 people mailing list, that is, right? But
Yeah.
if I send it out to 1,000 people, I snatch one, then that'd be awesome. But this is not white label talk. This is running your business talk.
Yeah. Which is, that's all still part of it too,
Yeah.
White labeling
Yeah,
is
exactly.
just a smaller portion of the large
Yeah.
business of photo
The
boothing.
large picture.
And it's not even
Yeah.
photo boothing anymore. It's just event photography,
Yep.
So
SMP and stuff like that that's going on.
yeah, it's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm really grateful that you took the time to discuss all of this with me. Appreciate
Yeah,
it
no problem.
very,
No
very
problem.
much.
It was great to learn about Anna too.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Stick
And
around.
congratulations on everything that you're doing right now is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I feel like you put yourself in a very, very good place where you're at right now. I feel like you have it. You have all pretty much figured out. Your kids are all grown, and I'm just waiting to get there too. You just mind blow me. I think that we need to do a special just on you, like
Sorry.
a special podcast just on you, like Like literally, I mean, you should be writing a book
That is in the
or something.
works for sure.
Yeah,
Because
that's amazing. I mean, I'm happy to know you as a person where
oh,
you actually came through a big struggle to get in there. I mean, obviously everybody has their own stories, but your story is pretty
yeah,
wow.
it's pretty
That's what I
crazy.
say. Wow, you have 4 kids, so
Yeah,
I
and that's
mean,
what I was gonna say too. Like nobody, at least nobody I know would choose to be a single mother of 4 boys. So
yeah,
when I
exactly.
first
Yeah,
had them, of course, I was like, "Oh, I was married. We're gonna have all these kids, and we're
yeah,
gonna do this together." And then
yeah,
once we got divorced, and yeah, it was a struggle. I mean, like
yeah.
struggle. So, but like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
change it for nothing. What do they say?
No, you're
I
good. You're
wouldn't
good.
change it for
Yeah.
what do they say? So I can't remember.
Basically, built you,
I can't
yeah.
remember. It's
It
like,
made you it made you who you are today. So which is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
I mean,
like,
you're running successfully.
yeah, and I think that the photo booth business, like, it's always just been this character in my life since 20, and it
Yeah.
was like a second parent raising my kids in a
Yeah.
way. It was really kind of
Yeah.
cool because they would go, once they turned 16, they would drive it, set it up,
Huh?
and do all that. They could do all that before they could drive, but once they were driving, I couldn't wait to throw the keys at them.
Mm.
You've
And
gotten
you didn't have to
evicted.
go yourself. You didn't do anything any of that yourself then. So it's good.
Yeah, so they have
Mm.
incredible customer service
Yeah.
skills from that, which is really cool.
Awesome.
And,
Awesome.
like, I see people my age, and I'm like, these kids
Mhm.
run circles around some of the men, in my life.
Yeah. I mean that's you need to do a real
But
special
I cracked the whip.
yeah.
They'll
Yeah, it's
tell
different
you
for me.
they were scared of me.
My kids are not scared of me. I'm like a pushover dad.
You're like the teddy bear dad, I know.
I'm like a pushover dad. They'll jump on
Yeah,
me,
you're
they'll
like
play around
the
me.
one they climb all over.
Yeah, exactly. And my wife is the one that's scared. They're pretty much scared of,
Yeah.
but lately we can't. I mean, they have their own. Like the 8-year-old's changing. You go obviously when they turn 8, they're changed. You know it
Yeah.
better than I do. They change into. They have thoughts of their own, and they start thinking they're older, but they're not older yet. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then they'll throw tantrums, like silent treatment, stuff like that. They'll have
Silent
attitudes.
treatment.
Yeah, they have their, "Oh, I will put this water in my mouth and not say anything until you give me this," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like they
They're
think of
master
ways to manipulate you.
manipulators is what they are.
They're manipulators. Yeah, that's it.
They're
Yeah,
master manipulators, and that
yeah,
is, like, why I was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to," not the manipulation, but the fighting between the siblings. Like, I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
not to bring up Bill Cosby, but he said in
Uh-huh.
one of his, like, comedy things that if you don't have more than 1 kid, like, it doesn't count to be a parent, because if you eliminate sibling rivalry altogether, it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
exactly.
not even really a parent until you have
That's true. That's
to deal with sibling rivalry. But
true.
it goes
A
by
long
so
ride
fast,
coming.
though. It really
Yeah.
does. It really, really does. All right. Well, is there
All
anything
right.
else that we need to share, you think? We're good.
Nope, I think I pretty much covered it all in regards to white labeling. Hopefully, my white labeling is, I mean, the amount of white labeling stays, and I gain more organic leads myself. And, hopefully, I balance both things out. More work means more money,
Yeah.
and whatever you have is an asset. Whatever photo booth equipment you have is asset. So make sure they're out making money. If they're not, then doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna
Well,
end it right there.
yep.